I'm a type of a guy that can fix about anything, and today I'm repairing my front loader washer. See, I bought this washing machine about 4 years ago. Supposed to be top of the line. It's a Whirlpool Duet, you know. And what happened after 4 years, the two bearings on the back of the basket, they went away, you know, they broke. You know, as you can see here, this is one of the bearings. All the bearings, the ball bearings, they broke, they decomposed. So I'm gonna fix this thing. So here, it is the basket, okay? Takes a lot of load here, you know, a lot of clothes. This thing spin around here. There is a pulley here that makes this thing to spin, and it's held by two bearings. One goes right here, another one here. So the bearing is spaced about, I would say, maybe about 3 to 4 inches, okay? And with those front loaded, that's a common thing to happen, you know? And if you call a technician to repair this, probably about $800 or so, you know? And the way they do, they'll bring a new tab here, and the bearings already come compressed inside of the tab. And also there is a seal that seals, a seal like this, that seal the bearings in. But since I like to mess with things, you know, I decided to do in an old fashion, like people used to do a few years back. So I bought a couple bearings to replace, you know, those ones. You know, this one stopped working, and this one came apart completely. So I bought a ball bearing to put it here in the back. And on the front here, where it takes most of the load, instead of ball bearing, I'm gonna put a roller bearing. Okay, it's a bit more expensive, you know. You pay that one costs about $10 here. This one more like $50, but this one is much better in this situation because you know, the ball bearing can take so much of a radial force, you know. Those ones, because the surface a bit, there's greater contact here between the inner and out sleeves, so take much more force. So I'm gonna put this one here on the front and a regular ball bearing on the back, and then I'm gonna pack with grease because this one doesn't have, it's not a seal bearing. Hopefully this solution will have this thing work for a good 10-20 years, okay? And I'll keep you posted, you know. I'll let you know how the things get done. Thank you. Just put the older bearing inside of here, and I use the older one to tap him. And then I put it, there's a clamp here, which wasn't too hard to put in, okay? Now I'm gonna put the inner bearing inside here, okay? So now I'm putting the inner bearing right here, which is the roller bearing, okay? And I'm gonna pressurize in this hole here, and I'm gonna use this one to tap inside, and I'm gonna use a rubber mallet, okay? Okay, thanks. Okay. Hi, this is Jamie again, back to my mess garage, and here I pack the bearings with lithium grease. You know, this here you can't see anymore, but this it is the roller bearing, and then on the back I have the ball bearing, and this is the seal here. I also pack the seal with grease, so be a lot of grease in there. So this is the old seal here that I had, okay? So now there's there's a tab here, you know, the mount here is gonna be packed with grease like an automobile. My hope that will last forever, okay? I'm gonna add some more grease on the back here. You know, I've been using this table knife here, you know. Well, my wife doesn't know, so I'll clean the knife before she come back home, and that should be no problem, okay? So put a lot of grease inside here, you know, make sure that, you know, everything gets lubricated here. Now I already put the seal in, you know, it's just I just pressure with this part of the hammer here, the rubber, so it won't damage. You know, the next step is to place the shaft in. Hello. Another thing that happened here. Can you see the shaft here? It has a collar here. And this collar was caused by this bearing. I believe there was no lubrication here. When the bearing seizes, this thing starts spinning within the, the bearing here. And that create a nice collar. I thought it was machine. But then when I compare to a new one, see? I see the difference there. And unfortunately, I had to buy a new one. And I had to buy the whole basket, because I couldn't find the shaft by itself. Even though the shaft come apart, as you can see here, they don't sell it. I can't understand why they marked it this way, But well, that cost me about $214 for this new basket here. I also decided to replace this rubber here, this seal here. It costs only about $13. Probably is worth it, because when the things put together, you want to make sure that there is no leaking, the water. This thing fills up with water during washing. And also I bought a, instead of Vaseline, I decided to use a silicone grease. Because Vaseline is oil-based, petroleum-based, and it's not so good for the rubber. But the silicone grease is not a petroleum-based, so it doesn't damage the rubber. Okay. So anyhow, the basket in place and turned real nice. And down here you can see that we have an excess of grease, which I'm gonna clean. Now the new rubber seal is in place, and I just put a silicone grease all over the rubber. That little silicone grease here. It's kind of white, and it's a very nice and clear grease. This lip here, was cut because this thing here, the basket was loose and was hanging, so cut the seal here. So I didn't want to buy a top tab, which is about $150. So I'm gonna take a glue gun and glue this thing here. And I bought a glue gun, the high temperature one that they say that work for nylon and all kinds of plastic. So let's see how it works. Well, seems that the glue gun did a great job here. The thing now looks solid, and operational. Okay. Now I just gotta put everything back together. As you see, there's part all over the place, But I think that won't be the hardest job. I think the hardest job, it is done. But the main idea I wanted to bring is the quality on the bearings now, on the shaft. And hopefully now that thing will last forever.